Okay. Hi, my name is Kristen Brevet. I work for the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, and welcome to the Food Waste Prevention Week interest webinar for breweries. So in this presentation, we'll talk about food waste in Tennessee. I'll go over what is Food Waste Prevention Week. We will share different ways that breweries can participate in Food Waste Prevention Week, and then also what kind of support we can help provide to you. So I work with the Office of Sustainable Practices, and our goal is to advance sustainability in Tennessee by engaging with stakeholders around the state and providing them the resources and support to take action. And we do this on a lot of different topics and through a lot of different programs, but one of the programs we do this through is our Get Food Smart program, which is all about working with Tennessee residents, schools, businesses, organizations to help reduce food waste in our state. And we also do this through our Tennessee Sustainable Spirits program, which I'll pass it over to my colleague Mark to talk about.
Hi, I'm Mark Valencia. I am also with the Office of Sustainable Practices with Kristen. I oversee a program called the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program, which is a free membership program for any brewery, winery, or distillery in the state of Tennessee. The overall goal of the program is to recognize and identify organizations who are going above and beyond, environmental regulatory compliance. So these are the organizations who want to do better for the environment by implementing certain sustainable practices within their organization. And our office recognizes those producers by the state of Tennessee as a sustainable producer. And in addition to that, we provide technical assistance for organizations who are interested in improving their sustainable practices at their organization.
So let's go over food waste in Tennessee. So before talking about food waste, you have to understand the difference between food surplus and food waste. So food surplus is any food that goes unsold or uneaten, while food waste is specifically the food going to a waste destination like a landfill. And unfortunately, 30% of the U.S. food supply is surplus. 30% of the U.S. food supply goes unsold or uneaten. And this is a massive amount of food. And in Tennessee, 1.2 million tons of surplus food were wasted in 2024. And the majority of this food surplus in Tennessee is coming from households, residential, followed by the food service industry, manufacturing, retail/grocers, and some from farms. And unfortunately, the majority of our food going unsold or uneaten is going to waste destinations. 85% of it goes to waste destinations, with the greatest destination being the landfill, which is a problem since our Tennessee landfills are filling up. You can see in this map, those yellow and red symbols are landfills in Tennessee that are nearing capacity in the next few years. And this is a problem because landfills take up a lot of space. They take a lot of money and resources to maintain, and nobody wants another landfill built in their community. And all this food surplus, all this food waste is also particularly important to address because our food system is complex and requires a vast amount of resources to get food from farm to fork. And these resources, like water and energy, have their own environmental impacts. For example, 353 billion gallons of water were wasted in Tennessee in 2024 due to food that went unsold or uneaten. And in 2024, 5.13 million metric tons of carbon dioxide were released as a result of Tennessee's surplus food. And not only are we wasting resources, when we're wasting food, we're also wasting money. Tennessee's surplus food was valued at $8.65 billion in 2024. And this also has financial impacts on a consumer level. Each consumer in the United States spends on average $762 on food that's never eaten every year. Which brings us to another point, is that not only are we wasting money when we're wasting food, we are also wasting meals. 2.03 billion meals were lost to surplus food in Tennessee in 2024, which is particularly a problem for our state since 1 in 6, about 1 in 7 Tennesseans are food insecure, and 1 in 5 children in Tennessee are food insecure, meaning they lack regular access to enough safe and nutritious food. And that nutritious piece really stands out to me because 30% of our surplus food in Tennessee is produce, fruits and vegetables, which are commonly lacking in a food insecure diet. So how do we address food waste? Through this program, if we're looking how to address food waste in Tennessee, the biggest chunk of food surplus and waste are homes. So that is a big focus for us. And this is particularly important because a lot of the food waste in homes is preventable. We all waste food, but and it's going to be inevitable. I waste food and I am a food waste professional, but much of the reasons why food is wasted at home are actually preventable, like just spoilage or didn't want to eat leftovers, considered inedible, left out too long, date label concerns. There's a lot of room for us to help prevent food waste in homes. So through our program, we try to encourage people to plan ahead for their meals and go into the grocery store, help teach people how to store food properly. There are so many different kinds of food at the grocery store, and it can be tricky to figure out how to best store all these different kinds of food that have their own specifications. Help teach people how to learn how to read date labels. Date labels actually do not indicate food safety in Tennessee besides infant formula. So teaching people how to tell if something is safe to eat versus time to toss, encouraging people to eat leftovers, encouraging people to use their freezer. If we do have this extra food in our kitchens, we try to find ways to encourage Tennesseans to upcycle their food, meaning they get creative with their leftover ingredients to turn them into something tasty. For example, using leftover peels and vegetable trimmings and turning them into a vegetable broth. We try to encourage Tennesseans to donate things in their kitchen that they're not going to eat or feed it to animals. And then finally, if there has to be food waste, we try to encourage Tennesseans to compost through various methods. So addressing food waste in homes is particularly important since consumers account for over 50% of food surplus in the United States between plate waste at restaurants and groceries thrown away at home. And it was found that consumer behavior change campaigns are the #1 way to address food waste when you're talking about net investment. So that's why Food Waste Prevention Week was born, and that's why Food Waste Prevention Week exists. The goal is shared learning about food waste prevention, shared action, and just really celebrating food and reconnecting with the value of food and appreciating how much labor, time, money, resources go into getting food on our plates. So it was started in 2021. It is a national movement, and Tennessee actually helped start the national campaign. So last year there were almost all 50 states participating in the week, as well as now 14 different countries. So there were 713 different partners around the world. So what it means to be a Food Waste Prevention Week partner is just anyone supporting food waste prevention awareness during the week in a way that makes sense for their business, their organization, their community. So this could be something as small as posting on social media or as big as hosting an event. So I'm feeling pretty competitive this year. Last year, Florida came in first place with 22 partners, tied with Washington State with 22 partners. And I'm hoping that Tennessee can take that #1 spot this year, which I think is achievable because I'm pretty sure we had more than 22 partners in Tennessee last year. It's just a matter of getting everyone registered as part of the national movement. But here are some businesses and organizations that participated last year around the state. Last year we had about 9 events. There was a documentary screening, there was a chef demo, there was a whole trivia event, there was a panel discussion, there were library read-alouds, there was an event at Odd Story Brewing, there was a lunch and learn, there was a statewide food drive that happens every year, there were library books sent to libraries about food waste, coffee shops were involved, and I counted about 41 different organizations were involved last year in Tennessee. So Food Waste Prevention Week is going to be September 28th through October 4th this year. If you're familiar with Food Waste Prevention Week, it used to be in the spring, but the national movement is moving to the fall to align with the UN's Day of Food Loss and Waste, as well as Hunger Action Month. So here are some ideas for how a brewery can participate in Food Waste Prevention Week. These are kind of ordered from least commitment, easiest to maybe biggest commitment. So these are just ideas and inspiration. But one thing you can do is share how your story, how your brewery works to address food waste or food insecurity in your area. So you could use advertisements, printouts in your brewery to share your story, or you could post on social media. And then if your brewery doesn't do anything to reduce food waste, you could consider kicking off a commitment to sustainability, kicking off a commitment to food waste by joining the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program, which I'll hand it over to Mark to share with you how you can join and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kristen. So the Tennessee Sustainable Spirits Program, as I said earlier, it's a free membership program for any brewery, winery, or distillery. And if you're interested in joining, there's several steps that you have to work with me to become a member. One of them is submitting an application with your basic information, uh, submitting a checklist. So we have a sustainability checklist that's 50 elements on there, and you have to meet a minimum of 25 of the listed elements, and it goes anywhere from do you recycle? Do you have a way to reduce what's going to the landfill, whether it's your byproducts from your brewing materials, things like that. And then additional to the checklist is we look at your utility data. And the utility data, all we're doing is establishing a baseline for your organization. It's completely in-house. We don't share this information with anyone else, but it's help you to understand, maybe how much water it actually takes you to produce a gallon of beer, or how much energy it costs you to produce a gallon of your product. And we can compare that to your data and international data trends from other organizations to see where you stand amongst your peers. That's the basic elements to becoming a member of the program. But with membership, you get free recognition as the state of Tennessee, as a sustainable producer. You get this beautiful logo that you see in the middle that you can advertise. And in addition to that, in the data requirements is we get to review that data and see if there's any ways we can improve the efficiencies at your facility. Along with that, we provide technical assistance and a very detailed, robust sustainability report. And in that report, we do make recommendations to improve upon what you have going on at your organization, but they're all recommendations. You don't have to implement any of them, but if you're interested in implementing them, we can help provide some of that high-level technical assistance to help you figure out what is required to become one of those members.
So aside from sharing your story, sharing your commitment to sustainability, or kicking off a new commitment, another way you can participate in Food Waste Prevention Week is by serving as a donation location or collecting donations for the statewide food drive. It encourages people to take things from their homes that they're probably not going to eat and donate them through this drive, which is run by the UT Extension Office agents. So frequently, there most likely is one in your community being offered this year. All the agents do it a little bit differently, but if this is something you're interested in getting involved with, last year over 7,000 pounds of food were collected. If this is interested in something you want to get involved with, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with someone in your community who is facilitating the drive. Another way you can participate is by hosting a bread to tap event, which I'll now hand it over to Mark to share more information about that.
The Bread to Tap event is it's really hands-on for the breweries. I think it's a great program to get yourself involved with as a small producer of beer as well. So this is my one barrel pilot system you see in the picture on the left, where we turned bread that was going to be discarded by a bakery and turned it into a new beer. And if you look on the right, there's just a simple recipe right there for a one barrel batch of beer that you can make using bread. Some of the technical details of it, I would recommend not exceeding 20% of bread within your grist, or you'll get a sticky batch. Or if you get it that sticky, rice hulls There's some enzymes, but trying to keep it in a sweet spot below 20% of your grist and your mash bill for the bread is a doable concept. And if you're ever interested in making one of these recipes, there's the recipe you're more than welcome to use or play along with it and create your own recipe. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. And if you're struggling to find a bakery in your area, reach out to us. We have a ton of resources and we can probably find some for you.
Yeah, and I've only been in this position for a little over a year now, but I know Marcus told me that we used to have so many different breweries around the state participate in Food Waste Prevention Week through a bread to tap. And whenever I'm talking to people and I mention Food Waste Prevention Week, they're often asking, are there any breweries that are going to do the bread to tap this year? So even though it's, just in comparison, a small amount of bread that we're diverting from being sent to the landfill, it's still a great way to draw customers in and start a conversation or center an event around. So we've seen a lot of people ask about this.
People love the bread to tap beer. They love the concept of it. I know when I brewed it, people drank it up quickly. They're really interested in it. I know others who played around with it. I know a brewery who got a ton of rye bread and they were able to make a saison out of it. So you can make some very unique flavor profiles depending on the type of bread you get.
Yeah, and last year I did attend the Odd Story bread to tap event, and people were very excited about the bread brew. So it was cool to see that.
And you don't need to dedicate your entire brew house to it. If you have a pilot system, it's super easy to make. So if you got some spare grain lying around or some grain that you just can't use up, again, we're trying to reduce food waste. So if you got some of that extra grain that you had some leftovers from a specialty batch, play with it. Use some bread, throw some bread in there, and make something with something that may have been discarded.
If you're doing a bread to tap event, another way to get involved kind of on a larger scale is to be a part of or help organize a food waste fighting tour slash crawl with other breweries or even restaurants participating in Food Waste Prevention Week. So for example, restaurants, they can offer a spotlighted dish on their menus as well that is, uses a surplus food that they have in their kitchen or is food waste friendly in some type of way. And a lot of the Earth Month coffee crawl shops that last year in Nashville, they, for example, made drinks. One of them made a drink with like having to do with orange peel or orange zest. So if you are interested in bread tap and there are other food service businesses in your area interested in participating in this way, maybe, kind of like a restaurant week, maybe we could kind of make some sort of advertisement, some sort of flyer to draw people in your community to multiple different businesses.
Yeah, we can go full circle with it. I've made a bread to tap beer, and a friend of mine was able to use that spent grain to make a new bread out of it. So we can create the bread to tap inception.
Yeah, absolutely. Another way you can participate is even if you don't have a brew, is just by being an event space. If your brewery hosts trivia, we have some food waste trivia questions we can share with you. You could also be a location for some sort of chef demo where they show how to upcycle cilantro stems into a new dish or something like that. It could be a tabling event. There's lots of different food or food waste related or composting related businesses and nonprofits that would love spaces to do outreach. You could be a location for a documentary or a webinar screening about food waste. There's gonna be a ton of webinars through the National Food Waste Prevention Week, or we could even host a webinar, or we can come in person and do a workshop, or we can find the master gardeners in your community and they can do a composting workshop, or even maybe the extension agents who run the food drive could come in and do a workshop on preventing food waste at home. These are just all ideas. There could also be some sort of community discussion. Maybe there's not a lot of composting, or maybe there's not a lot of food rescue, food donation happening in your community. How can we bring people together to kickstart some of these things and kickstart that conversation, including maybe with a panel discussion as well. This flyer is from the Clean Memphis's Project Green Fort Love Food Hate Waste event that they had last year for Food Waste Prevention Week. They're actually having it today instead of with the National Food Waste Prevention Week in the fall. And it was at Memphis Made, and they didn't have the brew this year, but they did, or didn't have the brew last year. I'm not sure if they have the brew this year, but it was like a tabling event. They had trivia, they had a chef demo, they had all kinds of stuff, and the brewery was just able to support by being a space for them. So with all this said, no matter, whether you want to be involved in Food Waste Prevention Week on a small scale or larger scale, there are some things that we can do to help support you. One thing we can do is we can help you brainstorm ideas if you just want to have a chat with us, and we can help you figure out what might work best for you and your business. We can also help connect you with other people in your community. If you're interested in doing a food waste fighting crawl, or if you're interested in having more food waste events in your community and then marketing them as Food Waste Week in Nashville or something, marketing them together, we can help bring you together. We can help connect you with those bakeries, like Mark said. We can help form like little mini planning communities for your community if you're interested. We can also help with marketing. So we can give you some some Canva designs that you can edit. We can help you curate some of that social media content. We can also add you to our Food Waste Prevention Week map so that people can see where all the events are in Tennessee. We also have a press release for Food Waste Prevention Week. We can also help provide you some resource assistance. So, for example, if you need trivia questions, if you need a toolkit for how to host a composting workshop, if you need that bread to tap recipe, anything that you need to help you facilitate your event, we can help you by providing that resource. If you're interested in just handing out food waste information about food waste in Tennessee, we can also help provide flyers, pamphlets. Last year, we were able to provide some financial support. It's Food Waste Prevention Week is in the fall, so we're kind of far away. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that this year, but it is possible, and we've done it in the past. But something that other people got really excited about last year is that we were able to provide some prizes and giveaways. Some examples of giveaways we could provide are possibly zero waste food swaps, like breathable produce bags. Some produce was better in a breathable bag. Some produce would do better in an airtight or plastic bag. Meal planners help people plan ahead on their grocery shopping. Chip clips keep those chips fresher longer. The prizes we were able to give away last year were state parks merch, an Osprey backpack, and even a 2-night stay at any state park. And this year we will have some backyard composters available to offer as giveaways for people hosting Food Waste Prevention Week events. So we do have this QR code. I'll also put it in the description of this webinar recording, so you can click on it. But we'd love to have you guys, if you're interested in participating in Food Waste Prevention Week in some kind of way, we'd love to have you sign up by either clicking that link or scanning this QR code, signing up to be a partner. This is no commitment, so if you end up not being able to do anything with Food Waste Prevention Week, that is totally fine. But this just provides us your contact so that we can stay connected with you leading up to the date. It's also a way for you to share your ideas with us so we can just kind of see what's happening in Tennessee relating to Food Waste Prevention Week. And this also allows us to collect information from you, expressing what kind of support you're most interested in. Are you more interested in being connected with other people? Are you more interested in financial support? Are you more interested in a prize giveaway? This helps us collect that information. So we'd love to see as many businesses and organizations participate in Food Waste Prevention Week this year in the fall. It would be great if you guys could join in. If you want to sit down and chat with us, feel free to reach out to us. I'll put our contacts also in the description of this video. If you have any other businesses or organizations in your community that you think would be interested in getting involved or partnering with you, also feel free to share their information with us or connect us with them so that we can reach out and share. Mark, anything else?
That's it. I think you nailed it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.